Welcome to Storybreakers, the show where we come up with a brand new film idea off the top of our heads. My name is Brennan, and we're back with a brand new run. The topic this time is Universal Monsters. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely subscribe to Storybreakers on YouTube, where you can find episodes we've done on Friday the 13th, Halloween, and even original Christmas horror films. Now, joining me today to break story is screenwriter, comic book writer, and reviewer M.L. Miller. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hi, it's great to be here. How you doing today?
I'm having a good time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. We've got The Mummy coming out this month, Lee Cronin's one. So what better time to start taking a stab at Universal monster horror films? Yeah. So we have a full array of characters to choose from. But before we get there, I have a question for you. What is your relationship with the Universal Monsters films from past, present, and eventual future?
Yeah, I have been a fan since I was a little kid. I'm one of those kids that I'm old. I was lucky enough to have access to the first like cable stuff, and then also like those like kind of late night shock jock kind of movie hosts where I'm from Ohio, so I had Night Owl Theater, we had Dr. Creep, and all of these kinds of cool little characters. I think the only ones that have survived now are Svengoolie and Elvira. Everyone else has kind of like gone by the wayside, but I was introduced to Frankenstein and Wolfman and Dracula, all of those characters. And some of them were kind of like the goofier ones, like the Abbott and Costello versus Frankenstein. I think the first, but I remember when I was like, I think I was like maybe 9 years old. I bought a Creature of the Black Lagoon mask, and my mom made a kind of like a costume for me, and I won first prize in the in the school like kind of like competition, like costume competition. Right. So I go way back with all of these guys, and yeah, all of them are great in their own way, and a lot of their remakes have been good to great. You know, some of them not so good, but that's just the way it is. but it's just has such a long history. I have a picture of my mom and dad, and they were dressed as the Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein, and so yeah, I go back to a little kid just loving horror and continuing to love horror all through my life. So it's been a huge part of my life. So I think
a lot of horror fans would have that same feeling, where it's like for me, some of the scariest stuff is things I've only seen as a child, but if I saw it as an adult, it doesn't really have that enduring effect. I have a stark memory of watching The Shining when I was young, and it just wrecked me. But I've never seen The Exorcist, and a friend of mine was the reverse. He's never seen The Shining, but The Exorcist is like the scariest thing ever. So we watched them together, and I was like, The Exorcist? I was like, sure. The Shining, he went, I don't know. I was like, it has to be something really connected to your childhood to really take hold, isn't it?
Definitely. One of the earliest ones that petrified me was The Town That Dreaded Sundown, just because it had that guy in the hood, and he was going around, and he would go right into your house, and kind of like and it was set up like kind of a mockumentary sort of format, which I really loved. But they remade it a while back, but that was one that really hit me, because I think it was it felt like I was getting away with something watching it. But with Exorcist, my brother and I would try our hardest to sit and watch through the whole thing, but we would always chicken out somewhere like halfway through. As soon as things started getting weird, it's kind of a slow burn movie, but yeah, that movie messed me up as a kid as well. I saw all of these things. I don't know about you, but I saw all of these movies way too early, and so I'm constantly looking for something that's I might be a little jaded in my old age, but yeah, those first memories from childhood, they definitely resonate, and and that's the cool thing about movies. You can watch something and it takes you back to your childhood, which is nice.
Absolutely. And regarding the Universal monsters, do you have a
Mhm.
particular favorite out of the Rogues Gallery?
I like them all. I've always loved the Wolfman stuff.
Uh,
I like the idea of just this kind of character that has like this. It's just that it accesses like a more of like an animal side, kind of like the Hulk, kind of like the there are a lot of different versions of that. I mean, you could almost say that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is like a Wolfman story because he's accessing that kind of like more animalistic side of himself. It's just he's doing it through science instead of the moon
yeah,
and
it's
gypsy
pure
curse.
transformation. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, but I love that. The Creature of the Black Lagoon, I love that one. Frankenstein has always been a fascinating one. I love almost every take I see of Frankenstein. So yeah, it's kind of across the board, but I think those three are probably my favorites of like Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. Those are my top three echelon, I think.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
do you have a particular one you'd like to break story on today?
Oh gosh, you know,
Just spin that
I
roulette wheel.
yeah, yeah. Off the top of my head, yeah, I do love the Mummy, but I think I like the Creature of the Black Lagoon is a good one. It would be bad to do a team up, or not a team up, but like a like a Dracula meets Frankenstein, or
Right.
werewolf meets Frankenstein, things like that. Those were always fun because it kind of even like a Freddy versus Jason. Those are all
Yeah.
like kind of such. It's fun because it kind of mixes the lore, and it also feels creative. It feels like you're relying on some kind of backstory to build on that, and it's so rich. Like both of like a lot of those characters are kind of like rich in that way. So I
We could
think
do that
if
if you like. We could
would
do
you want to
a,
do that? Yeah, yeah,
of
I think
course,
that would be
we
fun.
can do whatever we want. But one
Yeah,
of the
okay,
best things
cool.
about that idea is that besides the creature, which I think has been done in a few different ways or
Hmm.
inspirations, but never directly um, adapted as much. The rest of them have been adapted into oblivion anyway, and
Yeah.
sometimes, as you say, they're great. Sometimes they're not. But
Hmm.
like, I I think a lot of people it's like Spider-Man. You don't need to see the origin story, or Batman. You don't need to
Hmm.
see the alleyway. It's we know this culturally. We get it.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to do a team up, I'm more than happy to
Uh,
explore where we go with this.
yeah. I mean, it would be cool to do Frankenstein meets uh, the Wolfman meets the Creature of the Black Lagoon, or
Oh
just
wow.
Frankenstein. Yeah, let's do those three. Yeah, that would be the. Let's see if we can somehow merge those three into a
Wow. So
cool
you're like, my three
Voltron
favorite
movie.
are these, and let's do them all. Okay, challenge accepted. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do this. All right. So are we setting this in the past, the present, or the future?
Uh, I think Frankenstein, the ones that always worked with me the most
Mhm.
were the ones from the past. Same thing
Okay.
with Wolfman. I think that once you put it into the modern world, I think it makes it you're searching for metaphors to kind of make it feel like kind of like Wolf or
Right.
and there's so many modern mad scientist movies where the moral is just don't mess with science, that sort of thing,
Mm.
or don't mess with Mother Nature, and this is what you get, this is the monstrosity you get. So I think in the past there's just something simpler back then, not to say that it can't be realistic, but I think in the past works for me like a period piece, but maybe not as far back as I guess Victorian era as what like Frankenstein is set in. I guess Creature of the Black Lagoon is a little bit more modern, but maybe I don't know, maybe some kind of funky '60s sort of era, like a little bit after like the '40s and '50s when these things came out, and just kind of like see a different version of these characters. That would be kind of fun.
Nice. I guess when we're playing with three different stories, like three
Yeah,
different mythologies, like
yeah.
we have to like make some important decisions now. So I'm
Hmm.
happy with the '60s, but
Yeah.
Like,
Or sorry, that just makes me think. 70s Grindhouse has always been a fun era for me. So maybe a 70s Grindhouse Universal Monster mashup would be
oh
kind of
my
fun. Yeah,
God.
I kind
All
of like that.
right. All right. So I'm not really feeling like origin stories though, right? Like,
Hmm.
do we see the monster like be created by Frankenstein in our version, or does he already exist? Is that something you cover like in the intro, like in
Yeah.
the Incredible Hulk from 2008, where they handled the entire backstory in the opening credits? They're like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, story. Like,
Yeah.
or do
Yeah.
you want to have it like these characters are interacting with the scientist Frankenstein himself, the doctor?
Yeah.
So how do you kind of envision this? Like, I guess
I,
because we can get the creature and we can get the Wolfman like
hmm.
pretty seamlessly in, but it just
Hmm.
depends on what stage with Frankenstein we're actually playing with.
Yeah, I think with Frankenstein, I think we've all seen the "It's alive, alive" kind of like
Right.
scene so many times that I like your idea of just getting to the meat of the matter. I know that it kind of makes it so that Frankenstein has this the story of Frankenstein, so you're going off of that, which I
Okay.
really like. I like it that you could kind of use some of that origin and some of the lessons maybe Dr. Frankenstein has learned along the way, that like it's kind of a mistake to do all of this messing with science thing. But I think that would be a lot of fun just to kind of start out with Frankenstein fully formed. Maybe Victor is kind of moved on, or he's scarred from it or whatever, and this comes back to haunt him like a curse, like kind of like the werewolf is cursed, I guess, if you're looking for sort of themes, like this is,
Yeah. It
yeah,
kind of sounds like Dr. Frankenstein is already becoming the protagonist because what you're
maybe,
saying
yeah.
is is he searching for the monster that got loose?
Hmm.
Like, so we have a man on a quest, and
That
this
would be great.
monster went anywhere. So
Yeah.
already we've got the intro can be the creation, like, and the escape and the chaos that this confused monster had, and the
Hmm.
regretful doctor who is trying to like absolve himself of his sins. He needs to
Hmm.
go and find this, and along the way, he's going to encounter other things of nature and of science. 'Cause you can actually
Yeah.
have a lot of fun with playing with that balance, right?
Yeah, definitely. And since there are no cell phones, it's still like barbaric ages of the 70s. We have this thing where maybe he hears there's a monster there, and instead of Frankenstein, he finds the Wolfman, in mid transformation, or how he's about to kind of yeah. And same thing with the creature of the Black Lagoon. That would be kind of cool to have him discover that almost, or I don't know, run into it in some way. But that does give him the quest kind of gives him something to explore to these different neighborhoods of these other monsters, I think.
I really like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that that makes sense. It's very clean as well that he showed up to this town or this area because he's following rumors and clues that there's some kind of creature here. And he's like,
Hmm.
well, it's got to be my creature, right? But isn't that
It shows a little
arrogance
bit of his ego
of the
too.
doctor? Yeah, yeah. There's an
Yeah.
arrogance to him going like, well, clearly I'm the only one who created the abomination, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then he's like, no, no, he's going into a wider world,
Hmm.
and he's starting to learn that there's been other people who have encountered mythological elements or
Hmm.
have played with science in an incorrect way. I think that
Hmm.
there's already a really nice starting point for us to work with this. I think
Definitely.
then though we have to, like, are we saying that the Wolfman became the Wolfman because he was bit by a werewolf like that? Are we still
Uh,
taking on
e-
that
either
element of it?
either that, or yeah, I guess I mean the gypsy curse that they always kind of put in there, it's always been kind of that's always been kind of weird. It brings magic into the mix on top of science fiction, almost, where it's almost like a science fiction sort
Right.
of thing. So yeah, if we want to keep it as scientific as we can, you can go like the rules from like American Werewolf in London, I think, where it's you're bit by a werewolf, and so then all of a sudden you become a werewolf, I guess, you know, that sort of thing.
I mean, we
That
can play
sounds,
with it further, and
yeah,
it was a scientist who did an experiment on himself,
yeah,
because then you have a character who is like Frankenstein, but instead of
hmm,
creating a monster, he made himself into a monster. So you
yeah,
kind of have a parallel there. And then if you
hmm,
wanted, the creature can still be just an organic, like missing link. Or if we really wanted to keep on the science, something happened and this was transformed.
yeah,
There's a fun part where it's the balance between science and nature, or we
hmm,
can have it that these are like he goes into a world on an adventure where he consistently meets and he encounters like science mistakes like
yeah,
his own when he's trying to solve his own, but now he's confronted by humanity's inherent nature to
yeah.
subvert the environment around them.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I also just for some reason it just thought it pinged into my head. I remember there was a version of Frankenstein where he used electric eels in like a vat to kind of cause the electricity instead of making it him instead of doing the like the tower and with
Okay.
lightning and everything, and it made it a little bit more accessible. I think it was one of the Hammer horror films, I think, that did that. But I think that would be a lot of fun to give the creature a little bit of that like electric eel kind of like power, so that
Okay.
that's like a power source. So that kind of brings it in. You know, I hate movies where they force that connection where it's like, you know, the Joker killed Batman's parents in the 1989 Batman,
Right.
or you know, it just feels very forced, like things like that. But if you can find little aspects of things that are common and can tie it together, I think that really works. So I like the idea that the you've got Frankenstein after his monster trying to kind of like, you know, basically control his mistake or try to rectify his mistake, get some kind of redemption. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you get the Wolfman who, instead of making other things, he experimented on himself, and then maybe the creature was looked at as some kind of like power source almost for this even maybe even both of these transformations. You know, maybe the Wolfman came about in the same kind of like electrical manner that Frankenstein did, in some way. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but I don't know if
Hey,
that's
we're here to stretch.
yes, that's true.
Like as you're saying that, because I'm still trying to like connect the dots here. What
Hmm,
if we do find out that Frankenstein actually, in his quest to create life, and you have
hmm,
the electricity thing, he went out and captured the creature, and the creature was the electrical component that
yeah,
launch the monster to begin with, because then
yeah,
we don't have to do all these I'm having difficulty with the coincidental nature of
yeah,
three monster creatures meeting, except if one was used to create the monster, and then as he's tracking the monster he encounters somebody else who happened to experiment on themselves.
yeah.
There is a logic to it, and it makes it easier as the writer to be like,
Definitely.
I now have it together, right?
Well,
I guess all we're missing.
you can even go back to like the movie Alligator, where you know, the guy has the alligator and he flushes it down the toilet and he throws it out,
Yeah.
like, as a pet. So maybe in its like kind of like smaller baby form, he just got rid of this electrical like like an electric eel, but it was like a humanoid electric eel. He gets
Yeah.
rid of it and flushes it down the toilet system there, and it goes, and you have a creature of the Black Lagoon, except it's the creature of the Black Sewer, I guess. I don't know.
So
Or
help me with this.
unless you want to set it in the Amazon, or you know, in like some kind of jungle setting, which is a cool setting. That's
That's
a
where
cool
my question
idea
was, is
too.
like, what's our setting? Because I'm having
Hmm,
difficulty taking out Transylvania from my
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
So maybe we go
Uh,
Pennsylvania. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, well, I I do love a good jungle adventure. So it would be
Right.
cool to have him maybe Frankenstein is drawn to that source
Yeah.
somehow, and it kind of is drawn back to that sort of jungle area. So you get Frankenstein in this pith helmet that doesn't really fit him, and he's not really into that sort of jungle adventure sort of thing. So he's a fish out of water in that element. So he's
Yeah.
going down to the Amazon or going into the jungle to try to track down this source, and maybe he's heard rumors, and then you can throw in some of the old kind of not stereotypes, but to throw in some of the old like tropes from like a lot of those like jungle adventures, cannibal movies, like you go out and like a not as bad as Cannibal Holocaust, but something like that where these guys are worshiping the creature, in some
So
way.
how about this? Because I think I might have a clean way to get us in here.
Okay.
Instead of him unleashing the monster and then looking for it, like
Hmm.
what if that happened and it was a failure? They couldn't find the monster, it's gone.
Hmm.
But then he goes back home, he does a lot more research, and he's like, I now know how to do it. I
Yeah.
know where I went wrong. I need to
Okay.
go back. I need to find that creature from the Black Lagoon again,
Yeah.
one of those things, and
Hmm.
now I can do this well. So
Yeah.
he's there looking for the electrical component, like, but we now know like that monster's still loose. He thinks it was destroyed in
Hmm.
that first attempt. It hasn't been. And along the way, he's going to meet another scientist who has a secret that this guy has experimented on himself. And when
Yeah.
the moon comes out, like he goes crazy. But at
That's
least that way,
cool.
I think we can get them all together.
Hmm.
But the motivation
Yeah.
isn't look for the old monster. It's classic Frankenstein. Look,
Yeah.
I messed up, but
Yeah.
I think I figured it out.
I got it this time. This time it's going to be perfect. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. I love, characters with that kind of flaw, with just that he thinks he's evolved. He thinks he's learned from his mistakes, but really he hasn't. He's pulled right back into it, immediately, and
Yeah.
so you've got Frankenstein there, almost like as an adventurer, but yeah, I love the idea of like two scientists kind of like competing to look for the same thing. It's almost like an Indiana Jones and Belloc sort of situation where they're searching for the same artifact, but for different reasons, but
Maybe
which that would be
Wolfman's
kind of
like,
cool.
I've read your research. I think it can cure me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I
I'm
think I can
looking.
get cured from this. Yeah, yeah.
One is looking to create life. One is looking to get his life back,
Sure.
basically.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And I know that a lot of times the Wolfman is looked at as almost like a sympathetic character, but it would be kind of cool to see a bad guy that has that motivation as well. Just he wants to cure himself, but he kind of like it's always been the Larry Talbot, or I believe that's the character's name, looking for uh, looking for a cure, and you're always very sympathetic to the Wolfman or
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson or whoever it is, Benicio del Toro, whatever wolf guy you have there. But he's always a pretty good guy. So it'd be kind of cool that you've got Frankenstein and you're kind of rooting for Frankenstein to win, but then you got this competing scientist that he'll help you along the way, but he's also going to maybe stab you in the back along the way as well, with the
I
Wolfman,
didn't even think of it that way, but I think that's a really good angle to play because you can even
Hmm.
have it that when Frankenstein arrives back in this location, he's been given this other scientist who's going to help him out, and that's who will be the Wolfman. And even though the Wolfman's full moon transition could be the first act, where you're
Hmm.
like they're on this quest. You feel like they're working together. You can tease in some mysterious or suspicious elements with Talbot himself, and you're going, I don't know, something's wrong. And then like maybe they start seeing that the creature like they arrive there and they're looking for what you said, that smaller electrical kind of animal, but they're seeing like totems to this other large creature from
Hmm.
people. And they go, what is this? So now they're looking for that, but at the first act, like hell breaks loose when the moon comes out and Talbot transforms. So
Yeah.
you could have such a great moment where Frankenstein thinks he's found the creature from the Black Lagoon, doesn't know where
Mm.
Talbot is, and then he pulls back something to see a Wolfman where he thought the creature would be. And you
Yeah,
have an amazing like scene here where you can
yeah.
have Frankenstein get lost, lose all of his possessions. Like he shows up ready and prepared, and because of the Wolfman, who's also his quest partner,
Hmm.
forces them like to lose everything and to abandon ship, and now they're stuck and stranded in the Amazon. And now
Yeah.
it's like I was looking for the creature, now I'm looking for survival. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, and yeah, I love that idea. Maybe he's got like a. It would be cool to have like a riverboat, but he also has like a lab down below. Almost like and
So nice.
yeah, and so that's where like they kind of it's like a portable little lab that he's trying to actually he knows what to do. He knows what his goal is with the creature, but yeah, this you have this it's almost like just a complete twist, a complete misdirect because you're thinking about the creature, and then all of a sudden there's a wolf man right there, which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Yeah, I love that. I love that kind of like mid or maybe first end of first act, second act sort of twist there, just to kind of really spice things up and make it unpredictable. Because I think a lot of these old ones where they pair up things, it's it's just kind of like a pair up, like Frankenstein meets Wolfman, and it's kind of like the obvious sort of thing. And with Wolfman and this, I mean, what would we call this thing? Would we just call it Frankenstein meets Wolfman in the Black Lagoon?
That sounds great. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I like that aspect where you add a third element to it, where it really just scrambles all the eggs.
And we can keep the monster out of this film for most of it. Like,
Hmm.
I think our struggle is going to see how we can tie them all together. So I just
Yeah.
had an idea near the end, where, like, very near the end, where you can reveal a monster, and the monster actually raised the creature. Like, where
Yeah.
you're just like, they find, like, the location of where this creature is, and it turns out that the monster itself became kind of a
Hmm.
paternal figure uh, for this creature. So the creature was was needed to give the monster life. The monster lacks that father figure, so he became
Hmm.
a father figure for this little creature that he
Yeah.
raised up. So if you do it that way, you don't need to force the monster into it. Because I think if you have the Wolfman and you have a creature, like if you keep running into one or another, it turns into Abbott and Costello, right? So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we can have it fun, but maybe not farcical, is kind of the tone I
Sure.
think we're going for, right?
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I love those movies, but I just never take those movies seriously.
Yeah,
It's just a step too far where they're running. It's like a
I
Scooby
hear
Doo
you.
thing where they're running in and out of the doors across from each other and all of that stuff. We don't need that. But as you were talking about that, I love that idea of the monster kind of seeking out the creature. But what if instead of doing Frankenstein's monster, it just feels like there are too many guys in the mix here. But I
Yeah.
mean, what if we do it as he says he's looking for the monster this whole time, and he's looking for the bride instead of the actual monster? You know what I mean? Like the bride of Frankenstein.
Ah, okay.
Just so that there's a female element to the thing, because it's you can't have just a bunch of guys. Otherwise, you got Predator. But even Predator has a woman in the in the mix. But
So
I
are
could
we
just
saying that
see
it's
a
not even
studio
the bride? It's just
saying like, all right, this is just an all guys movie. We need something.
well, you could even have it that it's not the bride. It's just the monster that he revived was a female.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it wasn't even supposed to be like, oh, I made a monster and he wants a bride. So like it just go his first go was he tried to create life out of a female figure. I think you're right. It
Yeah.
makes sense. I was feeling the masculine vibes too, but I was like, I
Sure.
don't know where else we
Yeah.
go. Like, we're in the jungle with a couple of scientists
Yeah.
who've experimented on themselves and dead
Yeah.
bodies.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, I mean, it's almost like a gender reveal at the very end of the whole thing, where it's like, oh, we were looking for the monster the whole time, and yeah, it's a bride. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, I kind of like that. It's just one last twist, like in the final act, when we're I guess we're jumping forward a little bit too much,
No, it's
yeah.
common that we do this. If people watch this, like, I actually love it if we can crack the ending early. It
Yeah.
gives us like a road to get to, I'm like, oh, great. Like, we're
Yeah.
flying in the dark for so long. It's like, okay, I got to know where we're trying to land this plane. So
Yeah.
for me, I think that just helps to know, like, okay, we don't need to cram the monster in anytime soon. Like,
No,
I think
no.
we have a really nice moment where the the Talbot character transforms and then wrecks shop, like, takes out the boat,
Yeah, the
nearly
boat
kills
now
Frankenstein.
stranded in the Amazon,
Yeah.
almost. Yeah.
They get lost. Any of their guides are gone. We can go if you want to go vicious, you can have the werewolf, the Wolfman tear apart some of their guides. Like, I
Yeah.
just think we want to just isolate Frankenstein. And then you can even have Talbot show up the next morning
Yeah.
in tattered clothes going like,
What's going on here?
yeah. And
Almost,
now they
it's almost like it would be interesting to see, like, Frankenstein being so focused on his quest that he can't place two and two together, where it's the Wolfman and Talbot, And it's like he's just
never know.
so, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe yeah, I guess it would be kind of weird. Like, he's on a boat alone with some guy, and then all of a sudden that guy disappears, and a giant wolf man comes through and wrecks the wrecks the place.
I think he should know,
Yeah.
mainly because it's tough for an audience to be sympathetic for the character if they
Yeah.
know such big information that he doesn't. Because then
You're
it's
right.
like, come on, you should have read
Yeah.
the clues. Like, you actually just get angry at them for
Yeah.
being ignorant because
You're
we
right.
wrote
You're
them
right.
to be ignorant.
Yeah.
But then it just gives
Yeah.
us an opportunity here of the next morning. I think that he meets Talbot. Talbot's remorseful, but do they stay together, or does this break them apart to get what you're talking about? They're both independently going for the same thing. Now
Yeah.
they're rivals after that, or
Yeah.
are they still trying to collaborate together? Like, which
could
version do we
see-
think?
I like the idea of him waking up and being remorseful, but at the same time, so both of them are so blinded by their motivation that
Yeah.
they need each other to survive, but they aren't really, they don't have it within them to really look out for each other. They're so focused on their separate quests. But they're forced together for a little while, I think, and
Okay.
that's why I think it would be cool to, like, have a tribe that maybe worships the monster, maybe worships the creature, whatever, and sort of and sees it as this kind of almost like a deity that protects the place that's very precious to them, and
Okay.
so maybe they run into conflict with that, or one of like Frankenstein is more inquisitive about the tribe, and Talbot is a little bit more aggressive and wanting to take this totem from them. I guess I think I just love. I know a lot of those old like jungle movies are very problematic in like looking at it in a modern sense, but still
Right.
there's something about those movies and something about civilization coming to the jungle that it always appealed to me, just having that sort of a dichotomy of where there's the civilized world, quote unquote, versus the jungle world, I guess. And it just feels like
Yeah.
a fun. It adds another element to the mix, but it still is keeping within the boundaries of the creature. Because I think in the creature, the Black Lagoon, most of them is all about getting the creature out of the Black Lagoon and into civilization. And it would be interesting just to have it mostly in the jungle, basically. Having this be the bulk of this being in a jungle setting, I think.
Yeah, and I think we can even really get more of the Indiana Jones vibe into it, where maybe at the midway point, Talbot has actually screwed over Frankenstein and
Mm-hmm.
got ahead. Maybe he already cut a deal with the tribe or
Mm-hmm.
something. So I like and it's even in the original, or not the original, but the '90s Mummy, Brennan Fraser Mummy, where like they're all competing to get to this one location. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's in keeping with the Universal legacy, but I could
Yeah.
see the Wolfman having that that motivation, so we can still maintain Frankenstein as our protagonist, and now the
Mm-hmm.
antagonist happens to be Talbot. So
Yeah.
that could be the midway point where they really break up, and Frankenstein's nearly killed by this tribe, or they try to kill him and he has to escape. Something
Yeah.
like that, you know? Maybe he gets
Yeah.
another collaborator along the way.
Yeah. I think there needs to be a third party that is almost pure, and maybe it's a female
I agree.
protagonist, because I think that there we have these two flawed guys, and it's fun to watch that. It's almost
Yeah.
like Seven or something like that, where Morgan Freeman is very meticulous and very pinpoint focused on solving this case, and then you have Brad Pitt, who's kind of sloppy. It's his first case, and he's kind of all over the place, and so you almost need a Gwyneth Paltrow in the middle of in the middle of it all to sort of be able to, um, you know, just there's someone in that mix that kind of feels like they can help, and maybe that's the tour guide. Maybe
I was
that's like
I was thinking the same. The guide. It makes
yeah.
sense that they give them somebody who knows the area, and after
Hmm.
that boat mishap, well, that incident, like it's Frankenstein, Talbot, and their guide who are
Yeah.
still alive. That makes perfect sense. You have this mediator between these two
Hmm.
flawed, outrageous scientific personalities.
Yeah, and I like it that both Talbot and Frankenstein are kind of they've already had their origin stories. So
Yeah.
Talbot, I would I don't know. I think it'd be cool to have the longer he has this werewolf curse, the line between the stark difference between the two things, it's not as much. It's closer together. Where he does kind of, maybe he lashes out. Maybe he's got a hair trigger. He gets angry quickly. And it's like that bestial side is right underneath him. It's not like someone who's, oh, you wouldn't even think that this guy would be able to do those horrible things. You would actually, he's more like a Russell Crowe type, where he's, you never know if he's going to start a bar brawl or if he's going to be nice and like warm and fuzzy with you, you know?
Yeah. I think we give our tour guide a name. Let's say something like Victoria, and
Victoria's good, yeah.
I can
I
see
think
her
Victoria
actually.
is, well, his name's Victor. So Victor Frankenstein. So I guess, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Vic Frankenstein, Victoria.
Anyway, yeah, I'm fine. We can change it to
Oh, no,
Sophie.
Victoria works. Yeah,
Whatever.
Sophia. Yeah, Sophie. Yeah,
Sophia. Let's go,
Sophia.
Sophia.
It's more of a classic name, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe she doesn't even agree with what they're trying to do, which
Hmm.
creates friction. Like, so she knows the area, she knows the importance of this creature. She doesn't know until basically they're off the boat. Like, oh,
Hmm.
you're looking to kidnap this thing, and
Hmm.
then she can learn throughout this journey. Like, oh, you're the reason why this thing happened, and like
Yeah.
we now have this, like, there's a culture that's defining themselves by this, and you want to take it away, like, and there's this feeling of like how civilization is just like the modern civilized society think of
Yeah.
themselves that way, but they just keep going into places and just causing havoc. Like,
Yeah.
one, they messed with the nature and they created a monster. They created the Frankenstein's monster, and
Yeah.
then scientifically they messed with this creature from the area that mutated into what it is now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Talbot messed with his own gene. So like, she's looking at them going, she's learning this like the audience could be learning this throughout it, and she's getting more horrified by their
Yeah.
actions, and then to the point where she's like, wait, and that's actually where we can learn about it too. We may not fully understand the plan. Like, we could even be thinking that Frankenstein is there to find his monster, but the revelation is no, he's there to find the creature because
Yeah.
he wants to try it again. And
So-
having
you have
Sophia there to be like the audience going, "You're a madman. Like, when are you going to learn?" You know, I think there's a really nice requirement for her.
Yeah, I think that's necessary. There needs to be someone that can mirror back how crazy this all is, and I think that where we start with like the kind of dual origin story with the quick kind of recap of Frankenstein and the Wolfman, it would be almost cool just to kind of follow Sophia as our main protagonist through the whole thing.
I think so.
And so we're following her from the very beginning. So we see how she is approached by these two very odd scientist type guys, and how she wants to take them down the Amazon, and she could be a tough Marion-like character as well. You know, I wouldn't want her to be like a damsel in distress or anything.
No,
but you know, not like a Tomb Raider, but more like a Marion, where she can hang with the guys, she can drink. You know, everything is she's respected. You know, and she's almost tougher than most of the guys in the bar where they meet, you know, things like that. So just to give her a quirk, but also just to show that how tough she is, and it's not like some damsel who's going to go and take a boat down the Amazon with two strangers, and you know, it's just not very smart, you know, to do. But maybe if these guys are not as threatening looking, it doesn't feel as dangerous for her to do this sort of thing as well. So, but yeah, I like that idea.
I completely love it. As you were speaking, I was like, I think she is the protagonist. I think we've just went, no, we're following the wrong person. I think it's through her eyes. It could be her boat. It makes sense that she, like, on the boat, there are other people. It's just when Talbot snaps with the full moon, they're all gone. So, but she's hard. She should be hard as nails. She's like, it's her boat. It was her charter that they booked her on, and now she's stuck with these two, and they're like, we'll give you double, and they're trying to like get her on each other's side, and they're trying to bribe her as much as possible, and that might be the arc for her to realize that, like, it's not actually worth the money. Like, all of this is not worth the money, because now we have to, like, now we've invented a character that I feel like we need to give an arc to, and I think the arc can be like, she is just in it for the money the whole time, and then she realizes
she's
right.
in debt or something, and she's about to lose the boat because she gambles like with the at like any of these like seedy little you know, sort of civilization places on the outskirts of the jungle where it's, you know, it's you know, I do see like her being in like a bar and like having drinks with the guys and everything, and she loses, and she almost, it's like they're gonna come collect her boat, and you know, that's the incentive for her to, she sees these two guys that these two scientists that are offering this, and she's like, yep, let's go right now, because otherwise these, you know, I've got debt collectors coming, and they're going to be stealing they're going to try to take my boat away from me. So let's head down the Amazon and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I like it. I really do. I think that locks in.
It is going. I mean, I think it's going into the mummy sort of territory, but I like that. I like that aspect of the mummy, the one with Brendan Fraser. I think it combined the horror and the adventure and just the kind of like the fun that they did it in a way that was very accessible. It was like a horror version of Indiana Jones, which was really, really cool. And I hear they're making another one, which is awesome too.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the cinema when it came out, and me and my friends, it all blew our minds. We're like, how did they do that? We're like, oh my god! What I also love is we've taken that vibe, but we've given it to everybody but the mummy.
The mummy,
So we even got this, like, a bit of the soul of a mummy film
Hmm.
trapped inside a film with the other elements of universal horror monsters. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
it's very
and
fun.
as much as many elements as there are, it doesn't feel like a crowded movie. Like we're trying to, just like kind of squish some kind of concept in so far.
Yeah.
It just feels like it feels like it's coming naturally, just through the setting, through the character motivations, and everything. Which is when I'm writing, that's the key to my, just so that you don't lose the character, and you're like, oh well, we've got to have this, we've got to have this,
Yeah.
and things like that. But I'm constantly walking that tightrope as to like what I have to have in there, just as a crowd pleasing moment, but also like you want to follow it naturally, which is I like the way this is developing that way.
I think we needed Sophia. That was the missing piece. I think it
Yeah.
actually just it makes the rest of this so much easier because I
Hmm.
imagine after like Talbot comes back, they all go on that quest together. They can meet that tribe. I think that you can subvert expectations there by having Frankenstein or maybe even Talbot as well look down on this tribe. But now we have Sophia, who actually can be like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and it turns out that they aren't, which we are conscious of
Yeah.
falling into some of these negative tropes from the past and
Hmm.
actually showcase them as a fully functional society of their own. They
Yeah.
just happen to have they worship this thing that's in the area, and you can even
Hmm.
have Sophia just go like, "Is that any more absurd than your gods?" And like
Exactly.
what they worship, they've actually seen.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, actually, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
thing has done like really incredible feats within
Hmm.
this jungle. This jungle has a unique aspect to it, and they're like, "We did that," like. And
Yeah.
now that even probably helps the egos of Frankenstein
Yeah.
even more. Where he was like, "I created your god."
I'm the creator. Yeah, I'm the creator of the creator. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I love that. And it also, yeah, also it goes back to their egos. I think that's the downfall of a lot of these, and that's all the ultimate moral lesson, I think, to learn from any of those, like most of the Frankenstein ones. But yeah, I think it's that I can solve this. I can, this is this. There's not a problem I can't fix because I have this great intellect. I'm this scientist that can, all of my work, all of my studies, this is all fixable. Whatever it is that can do, I can help it with test tubes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
So I think we just need to figure out where we're going next because we've got
mhm,
like the second half, and
mhm.
are we ending it with them finding the layer, or do they find that layer, take something from there? Where are we kind of imagining our story kind of even climax? And I do like the idea that the monster, the female monster, has been raising this creature that
Yeah.
helped create her. I like that, but like what's the climax? Is it within the is it climax that they find both of them together, or is the climax that they've already found them, they take one away and the other comes to confront them?
Yeah. I I think it would be interesting to have like you're reaching there. They think they're maybe one of the scientists finds the bride, the other
Okay.
one finds the creature, and whatever it is, they're maybe it's Talbot that finds the bride, because
Okay.
if Frankenstein finds the bride, that's kind of you're it's all in the same sort of like coming from the same mythology, I guess. But if
Right.
if Talbot finds the bride, and maybe they do split off at some point, or Talbot betrays Frankenstein and says, "All right, I've gotten this far. I don't need you anymore." And
Yeah.
so he goes and he thinks he's going to find the creature, but he finds the bride there, and it's actually Frankenstein that finds the creature. Or, I mean, if you want to go cliche and have the creature run off with Sophia, and Frankenstein goes to try to do heroically rescue her, the creature, and then they get there, and he's surprised by the humanness, the humanity of the creature, whereas you've got Talbot, excuse me, Talbot with the bride, who is, he's just not, he doesn't have that humanity, but the bride does, I guess. Do you know what I'm kind of working towards, I guess?
I hear you. I also
Yeah.
think we want a full moon to come up near then because we want to
Yes,
turn
yes.
Talbot. Because then I don't think they separate to then find the creature and the monster in separate areas. They separate and then they find themselves at the same place where they come together. And that's when the one of the scientists is like, "Oh no, this is happening," and that's actually where you could have the creature save Sophia, and the bride save Frankenstein from the
Yes.
other human who turned
Yeah.
himself into a monster.
Yeah, and he's
I
the
think
one.
then you actually have this amazing moment where like the two scientists are like basically the antagonists of this journey and what they
Yeah.
were going for, the mindless creatures and monster, turned out to be the ones with the most humanity.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
that could be really nice.
yeah, and subverting expectations is thrown around so many times, but I do like that aspect of where, yeah, these guys have come so far in their science that they're hardly human anymore, and or they lack that humanity, and it takes Frankenstein to see his creation and what she is capable of doing,
Yeah.
and she's not just a piece of meat that he's reanimated. Same thing, and it's inevitable. You gotta take the action figures and you gotta bash them together. So a big physical fight between the werewolf and the creature of the Black Lagoon would be pretty freaking awesome.
True.
So
And I
yeah.
think I even have another piece of it. Like, so they're trying to trap the creature. So what if they do? What if Frankenstein actually lures it, gets it in a trap? That's when the monster comes back, finds that the thing that she's been raising, this creature, has been captured. She all of a sudden sees who's the person who captured it. It's her
Yeah.
creator,
Yeah.
Frankenstein. And
Yeah.
that's when Talbot shows up and he's like, no, it's mine. And this
Yeah.
moment, this kind of spaghetti western Amazon showdown is like
That's
really
great.
subverted when the full moon comes out and Talbot's like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh no, what?"
Oh, no.
And it's like,
I'm
"What?
gonna mess
What?
up this whole thing.
What day is it?" And they're like, "It's this day." And he's like, "I'm so sorry." And
Yeah.
that's when Bedlam. This is
Yeah.
your action figures smashing together.
Yeah.
Sophia can let Sophia doesn't want Frankenstein to win. Like her arc could be like coming to the point where she lets the creature out because she's like, I'm not gonna get a payday if they don't come back with this damn thing. But
Yeah.
she lets it out, and then it defends her from the Wolfman.
The Wolfman,
And that's
yeah.
where we get creature versus Wolfman.
Yeah, yeah. You got the creature versus Wolfman bang and also by this point the bride sees Frankenstein as this threat, and so she's fighting Frankenstein, where it doesn't have to be a big fight, but it's more of just like his creation is coming back to haunt him almost, and
Yeah.
yeah, I really like that, and I mean, yeah, the creature and Wolfman. I mean that they have to go the fanged or claw to tooth to claw or whatever it is. That would be just fun to see them splashing around and like the river's edge, and it's just like a really awesome kind of like action horror scene where they're really tearing each other apart. That would be really cool.
That is so true. And I get this vibe of Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty with Frankenstein and the bride, where maybe it's her decision to pull them off the edge so they both perished.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like she wasn't supposed to be alive. The creature, I think, should live, but
Yeah.
the creature could kill Talbot as well.
I think
Bride
so.
takes out Frankenstein, so that leaves the creature and Sophia as
Yeah.
like the remaining people from this royal rumble of
Yeah,
sorts.
and maybe and that maybe that's where the creature takes Sophia, and they're deep in the jungle, and it takes Sophia back to not civilization but the edges of civilization,
Right.
where she can go and she can survive, and it shows like the creature's sort of humanity as well, where he's not he's not he's not a benevolent creature. He's more of something sympathetic it's more of a force of nature almost. I don't want to. The creature doesn't have it doesn't seem like it has a personality as much as it is like kind of like an evolved animal almost. And it's not that I want to make it just like not have any type of characteristics, but I do think that I think it's too many personalities if we give something to the creature.
I completely agree, and I think it should bring her, and she's wounded and injured, and it brings her back to the tribe that have been worshiping it. They see it, and if you wanted to install the argument that the scientists had with the tribe and with her, like basically this creature saving her, bringing her home, completely validates for the tribe why they worship this thing, because it's this deity that is about goodness, because it's pure from the environment itself. So she could actually be brought to them, and you have this moment where it's like it validated why they worship this thing. And like maybe some of them, you could even probably set up, some of them have never seen it before, and maybe there's even tribe members who are going, well, does it even exist? We've never seen it. So when it reveals itself in this heroic moment, if we've established earlier that there's some believers in the tribe, this moment really was a revelation to them, which is quite nice as well. So again, we don't want to treat the tribe poorly, because it's just something that there wasn't enough information back in the day. We know better now.
Exactly.
This feels a bit more human, but I don't know.
I wouldn't make them cannibals or anything like that, but I mean, I do love those movies, but at the same time, it's like it's like a time capsule of its own era, So I think it's great giving them giving them a little bit more of a showing that it is a civilization within itself. Just because it's different than our civilization, it's not monstrous or anything like that. But one of the things as you were saying that, I was thinking about like a end bumper where it does seem like Frankenstein survives the fall, and he kind of comes out of the water, and he's very wounded, and he kind of gets into this cave, and he's trying to survive. And this takes me back to the Mummy, where there's all these they used to have, like, with the Beatles and the Mummy, it would be almost kind of cool to have the creature have eggs in there, and the Frankenstein's trapped in this cave with all of these eggs, and they start to hatch, and like sort of these little creatures come out, and they sort of eat him alive or something.
They're all pulsing with electricity, right?
And it would almost be kind of cool if the creature dies as it brings Sophia back to the jungle tribe, and then you think that it's all over with, and then it turns out that there are little eggs in this cavern, and they're pulsing him with energy and eating him alive. These little eggs in the thing and that's what the bride has been doing. That's why she's been very protective of the creature, because it was not that they were hooking up or anything like that.
I don't imagine that.
Maybe it was like it was a female creature all along, and we just didn't know it. And it had its little egg pods, and almost like Alien, all it did was take him to kind of discover them, to give them food, and he's eaten alive by that. And then the lights go out, and that's roll credits.
He used that creature originally to create life, and they're using him to sustain their life.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's like an after credit sequence, or in somewhere after you think it's over, but then you got a little bit more, because I don't know, the Avengers movies have ruined credit scenes for me, because it doesn't matter what it is, the movie. It could be a drama, it could be a horror movie, it could be whatever. I always stay until the end of the credits, because I just never know if they're going to throw something in at the very end.
I like it. No, I think it's a new signature little cinematic language that I enjoy. I do too. At the height of Marvel, I loved that. I think
Yeah.
they even got a little bored of it because they started becoming quite useless. I was
Yeah, they
like,
did.
well, don't do that now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like respect what happens here. Like a lot of times they would just be like, "This was a waste of time," and I was like, well, "I don't want to. I have to use the toilet. Like I don't want this to be a
Yeah.
waste of time."
Yeah, there's yeah, and it used to be where it was like it really did make it so that you wanted to see the next movie. And so
Yeah,
yeah, and who knows where this could go after this,
yeah,
after this becomes a multi-million-dollar blockbuster, and the studios are knocking at our door to kind of like make a sequel to this monster mashup sort of thing. But yeah, I think it ends with a little that the monster still exists, some that, but in the end, it's the kind of like the purest of creatures are the victors of the whole thing. So, but yeah, that sounds like a fun movie to me. I would definitely go see it.
I can't believe we cracked that. To be honest, like that's hilarious. I
And
actually
it's
think we
yeah,
pulled
it's
these strings together so well. I was like, oh my god, this is going to be one of the
yeah,
hardest challenges. They have nothing in
yeah.
common really, but we don't
They
want to
really
do
don't. I
Abbott and
mean,
Costello.
yeah, but I do think that I mean, but at its heart, I think that there are a lot of things that they dealt with in those old Universal movies that are, I guess, universal. They're using these
Yeah.
themes that they do transcend time, and that's why they've survived this long. That's why they do remake after remake after remake after these things. So,
Oh,
um,
I appreciate that. It's just a
yeah,
gypsy cursed werewolf, a scientist who created a monster from the deceased, and
yeah,
a missing link in a lagoon.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
how do we get them together?
How you
And
do that?
honest to
Yeah.
God, we in less than an hour, I think we really pulled together
Yeah,
something
that was
compelling.
yeah, I'm impressed. We were able to, we did the impossible, and so
Yeah,
yeah, that's very cool.
wonderful. All right, Mark, thank you so much for joining today. That truly was quite an ambitious and hilarious session that we had together.
Yeah,
Um,
it was a lot of fun. I loved taking all the elements and kind of like pulling the strings and letting them come together like that naturally. So very cool.
There's been in the recent past, I've done Halloween and I've done Friday the 13th as these kind of
Hmm.
runs. And I would
Yeah.
give people the options of like, do you want prequel, sequel, um, reboot, or versus mode? And nobody's done versus mode yet. So this was like,
Yeah.
oh, someone wants to do a mashup? I was like, I haven't had that recently yet.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to kind of take that challenge on. So thank you for that suggestion.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is great. I love doing this. I love brainstorming sessions like this. This is great.
So before we go, Mark, where can people find you?
I am online at a couple of different places, but mainly I have a central hub for basically everything about my writing, my comic book stuff, my screenwriting, and the reviews that I do. I do review horror movies, and you can find that on mlmillerwrites.com, which is basically, yeah, that's just the central hub of everything. But I also have a YouTube channel. It's ML Miller Frights, and that's where I do reviews. I also give updates on my own work, things like that. So both of those places are the main place you can find me.
Fantastic. We'll definitely
Yeah.
check it out. And for the listener, we hope you enjoyed it, and we want to know, what would your version look like? What universal monster would you choose, or what kind of mashup would you have? Would you choose different figures from the Rogues Gallery to do a bit of a mashup? Let us know in the comments or on social. Other than that, my name is Chris Brennan. We hope you enjoyed this session, and I will see you for another episode of Storybreakers. Take care.